Hey, what's going on, No Nation? It's CJ Wilson here with DoakTalk. I'm your host, here to bring you guys some information in regards to the quarterback position, the most polarized position on the football field. I know a lot of people have been, how can I put this, have been wondering if FSU will take a transfer quarterback or they'll stick with what the quarterbacks they have on the roster. And if FSU takes a transfer portal quarterback, what are some possible options for FSU? So we're going to kind of jump into it. I got three names that FSU fans should be kind of aware of that I feel like would be a good fit for FSU, a good fit for Gus Malzahn's offense and what he likes to do with his quarterbacks as far as, scheming and things like that, play calling, just a fit, right? Overall fit. So we're going to jump into a couple of names in regards to who I think FSU could possibly go after. And one guy I feel like could be an absolute home run, in my opinion, would be a fit for FSU. But like I said, a lot of these guys have been generating a lot of interest in the transfer portal from other schools as well. So we'll see how it goes. But before we jump into it, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel. And also the same thing in every damn video by meaning it every damn video. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the DoakTalk family if you haven't already. Get this information out to like-minded Noles fans. We cover everything from recruiting, transfer portal to high school, coaching changes, firings, hirings, whatever it may be, anything relevant to FSU at the time. And also, we try to have former players on to get them in for interviews, just to tell their story in regards to their time at FSU. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first name I want to cover is Kaidon Salter. Kaidon Salter, the transfer quarterback from the University of Liberty, big time playmaker. This is just some career numbers for Kaidon over his career at Liberty. He's had 56 passing touchdowns and 17 interceptions, along with 5,889 passing yards. And also, he has 2,006 rushing yards with 21 touchdowns. So we're talking about an uber productive guy that's had close to 5, 7, 8,000 total yards of offense during his career, college career thus far. And also, let's see, 50, 70, 77 touchdowns. So very productive. His best year came in 2023, where he had 2,800 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. And he also had 1,000 rushing yards and 12 rushing touchdowns. So 44 total touchdowns in 2023. This past season, there was a little bit of drop off in regards to his production, some coaching changes and things like that. That's one of the main reasons he is in the transfer portal. He has 1 year remaining. He is a redshirt senior this upcoming season for the 2025 season. In my opinion, I feel like he should be the top target for FSU. This is the quarterback I would target for sure if I was Mike Norvell or Gus Malzahn. He'll be my number one option. He'll be the guy that I would covet the most. And the reason I say this is because he's a redshirt senior, so you have 1 more year of developing for as far as Luke being your backup quarterback and possibly taking over the reins in 2026 as a junior. And like I said, so you have a redshirt senior and also all of this experience and production that he's had over the years. Very productive. He doesn't really turn the ball over. I really like what Kaidon Salter can bring to the table. Play ball at Liberty. You bring him to Florida State. You get some offensive linemen in the transfer portal, some receivers and things like that. The running backs we have and the coaching staff. Hell, I think the sky's the limit. He can really take FSU to another level for his senior year, and then bridge the gap and let Luke take over after that. So Kaidon Salter will be in my opinion, he will be the top quarterback on the board. It's a few other schools that's in the boat for Kaidon. Florida State, Syracuse, and Colorado are 3 teams who are in the mix of getting a visit from Kaidon Salters, and this was reported by Pete Nichols, not 247, on 3, my apologies. UCLA and Auburn are other teams that are supposed to be in the mix as well. So it's reported they're supposed to be taking a visit to FSU. We'll see how true those reports are, but in my opinion, this should be the top guy. Next quarterback we're going to talk about is Thomas Castellanos. FSU fans, you should be very familiar with this quarterback as he's been a Boston College quarterback the last couple of years. If you guys remember the 2023 game against FSU, he damn near beat FSU by himself. Gave us a scare within that game when we played those guys up in Chapel Hill. Very dynamic playmaker, athlete with the ball in his hands. Can do a lot of things running the football. Just to give you some numbers in regards to what Thomas has done over his years. In 2023, he had 2,200 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, a really high number. He also had 1,100 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns. So you see the dynamic type of playmaker he has. So long story short, ended up being a change in head coaching position at Boston College. Longtime offensive coordinator, NFL offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien comes in. As you guys know, Bill O'Brien runs a pro style type of offense. The running that Thomas did the previous year was pretty much put to a halt for this year. So for this year, he had, and he also, we'll get to it in a second. I won't jump ahead, but he did have 1,300 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. A big improvement as far as cutting down his interceptions from 14 to 5 from 2023 to 2024. But like I said, Bill O'Brien's a pro style guy, so it wasn't a lot of running around for Thomas, as he only had 194 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. Thomas did end up in the transfer portal, as he was benched towards the end of the season by Bill O'Brien for Boston College. He ended up leaving the team early. There's been a lot of speculation about that. Now, I do know there's 2 sides to a story, so it'll be interesting to see Thomas's side of the story. But nonetheless, he is in the transfer portal. He is a target for FSU. He is a guy that I expect to take an official visit to FSU as well. We'll see how things play out. There's been reports that he could be possibly the top quarterback the top quarterback on the market. When I say on the market, the top quarterback on the board for FSU. In my opinion, I would take Salter as being the number 1 quarterback, but you see what you have with Thomas Castellanos. There is questions in regards to him throwing the ball. No question about that, right? We've seen the film against Thomas Castellanos. He's inconsistent with throwing the ball, cut down his interceptions last year, but he's a dynamic playmaker with the ball in his hands. It will be interesting to see if he was to choose FSU, how that playmaking ability will translate to Gus Malzahn's offense. And the last quarterback I want to speak about is Devon Dampier, the quarterback transfer out of New Mexico. This kid is very dynamic. He had 2,700 passing yards, 12 TDs, and 12 interceptions. We got to get that number down. He also had 1,100 rushing yards and 19 rushing TDs. Yeah, you heard me right. He had 19 rushing TDs. So on the year, he had 31 touchdowns. And also PFF does this grading thing as far as big-time throws and dynamic throws. He had 22 big-time throws this year for New Mexico. Now, New Mexico is a very small school, so he doesn't have the playmakers around him to make him better. But again, you see the tools for Dampier. I think he fits the offense perfectly. We'll have to cut down on interceptions to try to raise that passing touchdown number. But you see the playmaking ability and what all he brings to the table for New Mexico. I think if he gets the proper coaching and gets developed right, Dampier could be a very big playmaker, a very dynamic, exciting playmaker for a coaching staff in the future. There's been reports that a lot of Big 12s and SEC schools are after him. Not too many reports as far as FSU entertaining him as of yet, but in my opinion, I think he'll be a type of quarterback that'll fit what Gus Malzahn likes to do, and he pretty much fits in with the Kaidon Salters and Thomas Castellanos of the world as well too. So Devon Dampier is a name that I'll be watching out for as well, as far as just a fit. So you have Devon Dampier, Kaidon Salters, and Thomas Castellanos are 3 guys to kind of watch for FSU. Now, of course, there's the question about Luke Cromohawk and what he does as far as, being a starter and that type of deal, and possibly scaring Luke away. You don't want to. We went 2-10 this year, right? So you want to bring as much competition as possible. You don't want to let anybody or any person or position try kind of hold you at gunpoint in regards to not bringing others in. You don't want to do that. You want to mention it. No, you don't want to cater to anybody's feelings. It's football. It's time to compete. Let all the quarterbacks come in the competition as far as spring practice and let them compete. Whoever wins, wins. If Luke Cromohawk wins that battle versus whatever we bring in and is a starting quarterback, then that's perfectly fine in my opinion. He earned it. He deserved it. Let's rock and let's roll. And also, FSU could lose a quarterback in the portal as well, too, so you still want to bring one in. So to be completely honest with you, we only have 3 quarterbacks on the roster right now. Well, 4 if you include the incoming freshman Perry. But we have Brock, Luke, and, of course, we have Trevor Jackson, the Elite 11 quarterback, true freshman as well. So one of those guys could possibly leave, and if one of those guys leave, you only have 3 quarterbacks, including true freshmen, on your roster. So you got to bring in more bodies, and also for injuries, whatever it may be. Long story short, we need the competition. We need the bodies. So at least bring in one transfer portal quarterback and let the chips fall. Let the chips fall wherever they fall. So in my opinion, these are guys to watch out for FSU. Kaidon Salter will be number 1 quarterback on my board. But again, I'm not the coach. I'm not Martin Noville or Gus Malzahn. They have an idea of exactly how they want to run the program and what guy they have in mind. We'll see how it plays out. But Thomas Castellanos has been the talk of the fan base the last couple of days. like I said, we've been very familiar with him in regards to, watching him play in the ACC and things like that. We'll see how things play out and how FSU decides to handle the quarterback position going into spring practice. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, tune in with DoakTalk. Go Noles.